So, Orwell. I mean, you're a fan, right?
Yes. How shall I improve on that answer? Well, I think in the following way. Some of my enemies and some of my friends have said either that Hitchens has or wants to be given the mantle of Orwell, and can I just take another in this series of dozens of opportunities to do it? Not so. A, do not seek, have never, wouldn't dare, and B, surely do not deserve. So even those who think so are wrong, and those who sneer at me saying that's what I'd like are wrong too. But I would say that when I discovered his novels, actually, not his political ones, social ones, Keep the District Flying, Clergyman's Daughter, Coming Up for Air.
Coming Up for Air is hilarious.
Wonderful. When I was about, I should think 14 or 15, it did confirm me that I was already coming to, that my life would be meaningless if I didn't become a writer. That it wasn't that I wanted to be, it was that it was a compulsion. It was I had to do it. It chose me rather than I chose it, if that doesn't sound preposterous.
You're not the only person to ever say that.
Some people watching this would know from their experience what I meant. They wouldn't think it was as weird as it sounds.
Right.
A vocation, if you want. And yes, I remember thinking, I wish I had known this guy. When I read him, it's as if I'm being personally addressed. He seems to have this transparent prose that communicates itself very well. It's partly because of intellectual honesty, but partly because of a certain intuition into the hidden injuries of the class system, for example. He wrote about families who are very like my own lower middle class English background. And I thought, I didn't think novels were written about people like us. And I sure didn't realize that he saw exactly what intentions and worries are. And I was very impressed by that. That was before I read Animal Farm in 1984, which I think they would have made me do at school. And I've since read, well, everything he's ever written, several times. The point was made better by Lionel Trilling. So the remarkable thing about Orwell, and the encouraging thing, is this: he's not a genius. He lived only 46 years. He never went to university. He never had a steady job. He usually didn't have a steady publisher. But he will never be forgotten because he managed to disprove imperialism, Stalinism, and fascism in one lifetime, and make some imperishable raids on its territory that no one's ever going to forget. All of the time ill, all of the time poor. It shows how much difference a person of really average integrity and intelligence and education can make if they have a little courage and a little intellectual honesty. And of course there are the shortcomings of the individual you can see in him too. But he basically won his own battle against his own prejudices. It's an example for all time. It's not, you don't get the sense you do when reading Proust or Nabokov or George Eliot that you shouldn't be in the writing business. All the people who've ever said in history, alas, there was nothing I could do, are lying, or at least are discrediting themselves. They could have, they just chose not to.
That's another version of everyone has a book in them.
Well, everyone does have a book in them, but in most cases that's where it should stay.
You're a reviewer as well as
a
writer. So does that, how does that impact your work as an author, or does it not?
Being not full-time, but I mean half of my life is being a book critic, has had, I'll tell you, one salutary effect on me as a writer. It means I don't bother with the reviews anymore of my own work. It's been about 5 years. I think the Kissinger book was the last time. When a good review would make my day or a bad one would get me down. I just don't, I know how the game is played too well. And maybe this would have happened to me anyway, because I have a fairly thick skin to begin with and a fairly broad back, but I have sometimes been very cheered up by a nice review, even very recently, but I'm no longer cast down by a bad one. Once or twice I read a review, I think, well, my mother could have written that. And once I read a review by a man you may know called James Wood, who I think is by far the best critic now writing in English. He's a young guy. He's the critic for the New Republic. He teaches at Harvard. Extraordinary fellow. He reviewed a book of mine a few years ago, and the wonder of reading this review was this extraordinary sense someone had really read the book, taken trouble with it, and could tell the reader what the point of it was. And that he liked it, and was nice about it, was quite beside the point to me. because he'd done the essential stuff. I've always tried to learn from that. Anyone who reads me on them, I hope would agree that I had at least done that. And the other day, I would give this to my students as an example of the difference between a reviewer and a critic. Both James and I reviewed John Updike's new novel, Terrorist. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the worst novels.
I think I read your review.
One of the worst novels I think ever written by anybody. And I gave it a bit of a pasting in the Atlantic. I had maybe 1,800 words to do it. And I was a bit polemical, I have to say. I compared it to better novels by Updike to show that I think he's in decline. Then I read James Wood's 5,000 magisterial words on the same book in the New Republic, and I thought, oh, for heaven's sake, why do I bother? You know, I could show this, I will, to my class, saying, this is a review by C. Hitchens. This is a piece of criticism by James Wood, showing all the literary faults and false quantities and impostures and weaknesses of structure and plot that the Updike had. It was absolutely wonderful.
You're not trying to make the reader feel something at a particular moment. You're trying to get closer to the truth.
Well, I hope the two ambitions would be the same. That you are trying to force the reader to pay attention to something that you believe is important. And I know I know from my email and my mailbag that I sometimes succeed in doing that. People say, I hadn't thought of it like that before. Well, then I feel very happy. I couldn't try it in a fictional form. I couldn't move people that way, no. But I can make people, I can make them laugh, and I can, if not make them cry, at least make them, you know.
You certainly made a lot of people think.
Well, if you say that, then that's enough for me.